Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar titled Future-Proofing IT in Your Job with AWS and Backup. My name is Kevin Collins. I'm from Unitrends, and I'm here with JJ Rogers, one of our product managers, and he'll be taking us through today's presentation. Don't forget, one lucky attendee will be walking away with a $100 Amazon gift card. We'll contact the winner via email after the webinar. But before we get started, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. The session will be recorded, and after the event, you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version of the webinar. I would also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. You can do so by typing them into the Q&A box in the bottom right of the player. We'll answer your questions at the end of the session. At this point, I'll turn it over to JJ. Enjoy the presentation, and JJ, take it away.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone, and I'm very happy to be on this call today. I have some very important information to provide to you today about future-proofing IT and your job with AWS and Backup. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a product manager here at Unitrends, responsible for UEB and the Recovery Series appliances. I'm a 33-year information technology veteran, 15 years as a database administrator, 12 as a product manager supporting hardware and software. And I have 6 years hands-on experience with disaster recovery. So I've been where you are. I know the challenges that you face. I know the long hours that you spend trying to prepare for a disaster, unlike anything you can imagine. Maybe like when you get auto insurance, you don't plan to have a car accident, but sometimes they happen. Health insurance, all of those types of things. But it gives you peace of mind to make sure that you ensure that you have those things in place. So disaster recovery is no different, because anything that can happen actually will happen, and we're going to talk about that today in this presentation. So in our agenda, we're going to lay the foundation. We're going to talk a little bit about some of this information some of you may already know, but we want to lay the foundation about AWS, their leadership and their domination in the cloud industry for platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and so on. And also, we're going to show briefly that there are a lot of companies out there like yourselves that have already crossed the chasm. You're already there. You're already computing in the cloud. And then we're going to get into the reality. True stories about an outage that happened last month. Some of you may have heard about it. And then we're going to go through a few talking points about the rule of thumb, what we think you should do if you're going to go cloud. And we're going to talk about our solutions and how we can help you to be successful and secure your environment, whether you're on-premise or you're in any cloud. So real quickly, here's a survey that I got from Synergy Research Group. And as I said earlier, the cloud computing, it continues to grow at 50% per year. So the question of whether or not cloud has crossed the chasm is a moot point. It's here, and it's not going anywhere. And in fact, AWS maintains a 40% market share between 2015 and 2016. That is absolutely who they are, the King Kong dominators of the cloud computing market today. And just to emphasize that fact, we see that with Microsoft, Google, and IBM combined are only at 23%. And if we're talking about from a revenue standpoint, from the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and private cloud services revenues, they're well over, my goodness, $9 billion a quarter. So something is happening, has happened, and it's going to continue to happen going forward. A little bit more about the domination. So what does AWS do? What do? They present this platform to you, and they can handle all the upgrades and updates for you. You don't have to manage it anymore. If you need more compute, you just a few clicks and you're done. You need to do a bigger, a more powerful engine. You need more CPU, whatever you need. It's just a few clicks and you're done. Or you can run EC2, and you can set it up such that as your resources start to increase, you can automatically say, well, add more CPU or add more memory, or you can also base it on the time of day. And then you just walk away. You don't have to worry about it. It's just it's just going to work. And if you're talking about storage, S3 is for your web scale computing. You want low response times, and you want to access them as frequently. People like Netflix. Every time you use Netflix, they fire up a new EC2 in 6 seconds. So I told you, it's working and it's fast. And if you're talking about long-term data retention for months, years, decades, they have Glacier to help you to do that as well. And a few clicks with that, and you're done, and it's cheap. Pennies on the gigabyte. Here are just some of the players. I could have put 1,000 more there, but just to show, here are some of the major players out there that are using that Amazon Web Services. So, okay, sounds great, looks great, feels great, but you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. Even though they have all this automation and all of these things in place, to remove the human factor from it, to make sure that everything is going to run as smoothly as possible, that when you're running your applications out there, you have nothing to worry about. Everything is taken care of. There's always the human factor. There is always that chance that something is going to happen that's going to deliver an outage. It's something that you don't want. What we're here to tell you at Unitrends is that you have to plan for that. And we have the tools to help you. And just a case in point, February 28th, all hell broke loose. Now, the core of the problem was just human error, as I said earlier. This guy, his engineer, his name is Joe. He was doing something that he probably routinely does all the time, shutting down some storage subsystems, and it doesn't cause any problems whatsoever. But on that Tuesday, February 28th of this year, something went haywire. And this guy is an authorized user, authorized to do this, to do his job, and he just entered a command according to the established playbook. Joe was supposed to issue the command to take down a small number of servers on an S3 subsystem, but he fat-fingered, made a mistake. And instead of taking down just a small set of servers, Joe took down a larger set. And what was the result? A 5-hour outage. Now, how many of you on the phone today, if you are running your mission-critical business operations in AWS, can you handle a 5-hour outage? Would your business be able to sustain being down for 5 hours? Now, what if I was to tell you that we have software and hardware to help you with that? Well, let's talk a little bit more about the problem before I get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the question is, will history repeat itself? I love that movie, Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. Can it happen again? Is it a matter of if or when? Can you afford to take that chance? It only happened last month, but 5 hours, there's a cost to that. Should you put the proper contingencies in place to make sure if something happens that you're prepared and ready to respond in minutes to resume your business operations? Should you rely on AWS to provide you with the business continuity contingencies you need? Ladies and gentlemen, that's not what they do. So always remember, I always tell my children this, decisions determine destiny. If we put ourselves in the best possible position to be successful, we could be able to mitigate these circumstances. Years ago, when I was in the Air Force, and we had a motto, Air Force Auxiliary. It was called, a Latin term called Semper Vigilant, which meant always ready, always prepared. This is no different. No matter where you run your systems, you have to be prepared for anything. Your business, your revenue, your jobs depend on it. So what's the rule of thumb? Protecting your cloud data is your responsibility and no one else's. You should never put that in the hands of a cloud computing company. That's not what they do. They'll get you up and running, You can start up an instance, fire it up quickly. They can give you the ability to respond to peak times during the day or usage. That's great, but that's not what they do. You have to protect your data as if it's on-premise. And ladies and gentlemen, we call it cloud, but it's not in the cloud. It's on the ground, okay? You got to protect that data if it were on-premise right next door to you or in another state. There's no difference. You have to look at it the same way because it's your data. Make sure you copy it to another data center for disaster recovery. You know, you got to do the same type of replication practices to make sure that whatever has happened at site A is replicated to site B. So if site A goes down, you know, you can bring up site B and continue to do your business operations. Use multiple clouds. Don't simply rely on one provider to store both production and replicated data. Again, you have to put some thought into this, and you have to plan for whatever might go wrong. And if something goes wrong, you have to be able to respond to that. Spread your risk. Use different platforms for different applications. And the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that you don't bring a turtle to a horse race. You need proven backup recovery technology. So you got to call Unitrends. We have what you need to secure your environment, whether you're on-premise, whether you're on AWS, whether you're on Azure, or any cloud. So we'll give you contingencies for your data. We provide replication from AWS to Azure. We give you the disaster recovery as a service, which is huge. These are my two most favorite products because it takes me back to a time where I had to do this. Say, for example, let's say you were involved in that disaster that happened on the 28th, and you had Unitrends. You would have had peace of mind. You should call Unitrends. I'm declaring a disaster. AWS says they're going to be down for a few hours. I can't afford it. Can you spin up my environment in your Unitrends cloud? We'll have you up and running within an hour. It doesn't get any better than that. You don't have to worry. And I got some more information about that coming up in the next slide. I don't want to steal my thunder. But also, recovery assurance is huge as well. And what is recovery assurance? This is something I wish I had when I was doing this years ago. You could take backups all day. You could back up all your applications. You can back up your disk. And you say, well, my environment is secure. I am backing up everything. I feel good about myself. Your backups mean nothing unless you can restore your environment and check your data to make sure it's right. Whether you're going from a point in time backup and you restore that and your users come in and check the data and say everything is okay, or your backup happened maybe 2 or 3 days after your last full and you've been capturing incrementals. Can you restore your environment up to that particular point in time before the disaster? That's true disaster recovery. Because here at Unitrends, we give you the ability with recovery assurance to do those tests to make sure that you can recover your data in another site. And what makes it even better, I'll talk about that on the next slide. Say you're in AWS and you want to replicate to Azure, no problem. Say you want to replicate AWS to a co-location data center, not a problem. We give you flexibility and lots of options with our products. Say you want to replicate from AWS to on-premise data centers. Yes, we can help you do that as well. So the next time AWS or any other cloud vendor has a problem, you got Unitrends, we've got you covered. If your data is ever compromised, with us, you will have peace of mind. You will know that you will be able to resume your business operations in minutes. Now, I talked earlier about recovery assurance. I love this slide. So what was the old world? Praying that the backups recover successfully. We're scrambling during a DR exercise, and trusting, I've done lots of them, and most of them were not successful until maybe 3 years later until we finally got it right. And rarely ever did we ever figure out that we had to do that. And we were spending hours and hours creating manual DR reports, because once you do it, you have to present that information to upper management. Say, we did a test for this particular day, we simulated a disaster, and we passed, we failed, or these are the things we got to work on to make sure that next time, if it's for real, it's going to work. Here's a new world. Reliable DR, Unitrends, gives you a fully automated application level testing and failure. You can proactively uncover any recovery issues because we're doing a test to make sure it works. We give you business level DR compliance reports. I'm going to show you that in the next slide. And this is available for local, DR site, Unitrends Cloud. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you right now that in the industry, this is the only company that will guarantee a 1-hour SLA. So again, if you were part of the AWS Crash, you had Unitrends, you wouldn't have been down for 5 hours, right? Okay. Now this is after the result of the test. We're monitoring everything. It's fully automated. We give you a compliance report with graphs, what was successful, what was unsuccessful, what failed. So you have a track record, an audit trail of everything that happened, so you know that you can go back to your shop and address what's in the red. So the next time you do another test, whether you want to do it quarterly, or you want to do it every other week, whatever you want to do it, you know you can start checking off on everything that fails to make sure that you know that if another disaster occurs, you can recover your environment. And some of you in the audience today, there's security and compliance regulations that are requiring you to give them a compliance report. All of that comes with the product. It doesn't get any easier than that. And then again, all of this is automated. IT-proof your cloud. So what are we giving you? No finger pointing, less management, a tremendous amount of flexibility. AWS to Azure, AWS to co-location, anything you might want to do, we're going to give you more uptime, more confidence, and more free time, because you won't have to babysit the process. You can go back to your day-to-day operations and let us do the work for you. Just to give you a better overview, we've talked a lot about AWS, what we can do, and how we could have helped you in that last disaster. But just a quick plug here, we have a recovery series of appliances that I'm responsible for. It's an all-in-one backup unit that stores all your backup information on-premise, or you can also have another appliance at a remote site where you can do replication from site A to site B, like I was saying earlier. And also we have a piece of software that is the central point. It gives you the ability to administer and control everything with an easy-to-use GUI. And with this software, it's also, if you don't have our hardware, it serves as a virtual appliance where you can configure your own storage and your own backup for on-premise cloud or wherever you might want to do. We also have Office 365 backup. We automatically protect your Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive with unlimited retention in the cloud, which is huge. And also we have Boomerang, which if you have AWS or Azure, you can spin up or copy your instances from VMware over on VMware from AWS to Azure very easily with Boomerang. So we have a lot of tools in our cookie bag that help you to do whatever you might want to do to secure your environment in the AWS cloud, in the Azure cloud, on-premise, replication. You have a tremendous amount of flexibility. So we call it all-in-one. The old world, you had a whole bunch of vendors out there, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of management. It works, a whole lot of work setting up and constantly tuning, limited continuity, little or no recovery assurance. And if you don't have recovery insurance, ladies and gentlemen, you're not sure that you can recover your environment. I can't drive that home enough. Everything is fragmented. Your customer satisfaction is going to be horrible, and you're just going to be worried, and you're going to be taken away from your day-to-day operations. New world, one vendor, one place to go to, whether it's cloud, whether it's on-premise, whether it's replication, whether it's co-location, local cloud continuity, recovery assurance. We have tremendous amount of security on our the core of our software is built on Linux, and everything is unified, and we have the highest customer satisfaction in the industry. You can't get any better than that. True dominance, DCIG. We got these awards recommended by DCIG for integrated backup appliances and hybrid cloud. And very, very proud of that. That's 2016, 2017, very, very recent. Can't make this up. This is one of our valued customers, and this is what he said, Scott. The ultimate goal is to come in each morning and see no backup failures. This happens at least 99 times out of 100. End of story. If an IT shop doesn't give Unitrans a good, long, hard look, they're doing themselves a real disservice. I've recommended Unitrans to many because I truly believe it will save their butt at some point in their career. So at the end of this presentation, if you want to take anything what I'm saying today, imagine that you were running instances in AWS on February 28th. But if you had Unitrans, you wouldn't have had a 5-hour outage. We'd have gotten you up and running. Let's summarize. IT proofing, hey, that's what we do. That's what's in our wheelhouse. Now, no disrespect to AWS, they are the undisputed King Kong of IT cloud infrastructure. That's what they do. That's what they do well. But they are not a backup and recovery company, so you can't rely on them to do that for you. So don't let your company be the next statistic. You don't want those headlines. So what do those headlines read? Loss of business, which just means money. Customer confidence, which means money. If a competitor is looking at you, they're going to say, look what happened to them. We've got Unitrans. That's not going to happen over here, okay? Compliance violations, and there's fines. So doing nothing is not an option here. You have an option. We have the tools, we have the capabilities, we have the expertise to make sure that you can be resilient in a time of disaster. So be that company that was resilient in the face of disaster and recovered their customers' data. Be that customer that says, this happened and we protected our customers' data with Unitrans. So with us, you'll achieve IT resilience and business continuity with Unitrans. So give us a look. There are free trials. You can watch a free live demo. You can talk with some of our continuity experts. And we have a blog out there on AWS Backup. You can check that out. And you can also follow us, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, etc. And there's my email address. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here to help. I'm here to help you save and secure your environment. I don't want this AWS disaster to happen to you. So like I said earlier, it's all about planning. It's all about making sure that you put yourself, your business, your company, your customers' data in the best possible position to be able to respond to a disaster. So give us a call. Let us help you to secure your environment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, JJ. We'll get started with some of the questions here. We had a few come in. If you there's still time to ask a question. You can do so by typing it in the bottom right-hand side of the player. And let's get started here. First question is, does Unitrends assist with getting cloud-to-cloud replication set up?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. Yes, we have a team of experts that are well-trained in that area that will help you. It's called an onboarding process. Will help you to get everything configured and set up properly, whether you want to do it in AWS to Azure or cloud replication or to an onboard co-location situation. We can help you with that. With our guys who will be on the phone, and they'll walk you through the entire process. And I recommend, like I said earlier, if you're going to do that, you may as well do the recovery assurance and make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. So in the event of a disaster, you have the confidence that you can flip that switch and everything will be restored accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, next question is, I've heard talk of a public cloud and a private cloud. Can you expound on that?
Yes. Well, the public and private cloud is under the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service. The private cloud is where the customer is actually handling the setup and the management of those instances in the cloud. And they're doing all the management themselves mostly. And the private cloud is where people like, I had it backwards. The private cloud is where people like AWS are handling it for you, and they handle all that management and starting it up and all those types of things for you.
Okay. Next question is, if I heard correctly, if we were affected by the AWS crash, Unitrends could spin me up in an hour. How?
Yeah, what we do is we have a standby environment where, let's say, for example, you have several instances on, it can be on-premise, it can be on AWS cloud, it can be on Azure. And what we do, let's say, for example, it's going to be in the Unitrends cloud, we'll have those instances standby and ready. In other words, we are reserving that storage, we're reserving the CPU, the memory, everything that you're going to need to start up your environment, we have that area reserved just for you. So when you declare the disaster, you can be assured that there will be minimal wait time, and we'll meet that 1 hour SLA to get everything up and running for you. So it's just an area where we reserve all the resources that you need. We have it in standby, up and ready to be hydrated with your data and your business applications.
Okay. Next one is, do we have an on-prem VMware to AWS DR solution?
Do we have an on-prem VMware to
AWS DR solution?
Absolutely. It's called Boomerang. And what Boomerang will do is it will facilitate the process of getting that data from one to the other very, very quickly for you, from AWS to Azure.
Okay. All right. The next question is, have you heard of the 3-2-1 rule of data backup? Can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yes. You always want to back up your data I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. Next one is, where is the location where Forever Cloud is hosted? Which data centers?
Yeah, we have a data center in Denver for Forever Cloud. That's our Unitrends cloud. And there's another one in Florida.
Okay. Let's see. Next question is, how do I get my data in the Unitrends cloud? Do you offer a seeding service?
Yes, we do. Good question. Yeah, we'll send you a drive that'll facilitate the process of copying that data to a hard drive. And once it's populated, that drive is shipped to us, to our location, where we will then upload your data into the cloud. And then you can resume sending your changes up to the cloud to keep that stuff in sync. So we handle all that stuff for you.
All right. Next question is, I work for a school district and data is never deleted from file servers. Does Unitrends have a solution to index old data, say 2 years, and back up to a cloud storage provider for archive purposes?
Okay, let me get that right. School district, and you have to back up the data for 2 years? Say again?
Yeah. Yep. So they work for a school district. Yeah, they work for a school district, and data is never deleted from the file servers. Do we have a solution to index old data, say 2 years, and back up to a cloud storage provider for archive purposes?
Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of flexibility there. One of the things that you can do is you can archive that data. We can have the settings within our system to whatever setting you want. After 2 years, you want to groom that data to go to a what we call an RxDA device, where it's stored on these disks, and then you can, if you want, you can have those disks shipped off-site to cold storage. And also, you have the option where you can archive that data to our Forever Cloud, and we'll store that data there for you indefinitely as long as you like. So you have 2 options there.
Okay. We'll just do one more question or 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Question is, the customer has infrastructure at Azure. Can we do Azure to on-premise backup to protect VMs?
Azure to on-premise backup. Absolutely, yeah. And you would use Boomerang for that? Not a problem.
Okay. And then last question is, will Unitrends Backup support all OS platforms for backup?
The question is, how many that we don't support? We support just about all of them out there. So I'd ask you to be a little more specific and tell me which ones. We support so many variances of Linux, Unix, Windows. There's a very low probability that we don't support it. So I would ask you to send me a list of which ones, but chances are they are supported by us.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time here. I just want to thank you, JJ, for taking us through the presentation today, and thanks everybody for joining us. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded, so you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version in the next day or 2. We'll also be contacting the winner via email for the $100 gift card, and we look forward to having you join us on future webinars. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.